How's it going, everybody? This is Dalton Young with the Honest Providers Podcast and Honest Care Systems. And today I'm with my friend Mike Ash over at Grace Family Church. And Mike, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dalton.
Absolutely. So, for most folks watching these podcasts, we talk a lot about clinical care, and something we really want to dive into, and we're happy to have you on, is to share a little bit about how faith and ministry can have an impact in care, right? Sometimes being an honest provider, that provider may not be in a clinical setting, right? Sometimes that's our family, sometimes that's our friends, sometimes that's the community and our pastors or our ministry leaders. And really quick, I guess we'll jump into it. I guess tell a little bit about yourself and kind of what called you into this ministry and faith-driven service.
Yeah, so my name's Mike, been married for 20 years. I have two boys, 18 and 16. So living the boy life, about one to have one graduate here this year, which is fun. My wife, it's kind of interesting. My wife is a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and so I'm a pastor. The way I got into ministry is when I became a Christian at 17, and really just felt this call or this desire to go into ministry. And then when I was 21 years old, I moved with some friends down to Fort Myers, Florida. We started a church there, started a movie theater for 4.5 years, and then went to a high school, met in a high school for 4.5 years, and then moved into a building finally, kind of like an official church building. And then was there 14 years, and then moved up to Tampa, Florida in 2016 to be a part of starting a location at a church I'm at now called Grace Family Church. And Grace Family Church has 8 locations across Tampa Bay. We call them locations. Some people call them campuses, but all across Tampa Bay. So we're kind of all over the Tampa Bay region.
Love it, love it. Yeah, it sounds like, you started the typical, David and Goliath story, as I would say. You started small and kind of worked your way up,
Yeah.
and into a place where you can create true impact with people in the community, not just in South Florida, but now, in the Tampa area. Sounds like y'all are doing well. Glad to hear you're expanding multiple campuses. And with that comes a lot of responsibility, right? You end up connecting with a lot of people and becoming the impact in their lives. So how would you say that your faith has shaped the way that you care for people and the way that your church cares for people, whether that's in a church setting, a community setting, et cetera?
Yeah, I think for us, of course, taking the lead from all of the teachings of Jesus, as far as how he coaches us and teaches us to instructs us to care for people, is always what we do. And for us, we have a very strong belief in holistic health. There's a spiritual health, there is the physical health side to it, there's an emotional health to it. And so for us, it really is just helping people take steps in the direction that God has called them to go. And so for us, when you look at the Bible and when he talks through, when Jesus kind of comes on the scene and talks to you, the way we love people, the way we're to look out for people, the way we're to care for people. And so for us, we really want to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community. And so, as a church, we are consistently in the community serving. We have like one day a month. It's our second Saturday serve day where we're in the community, probably hundreds of people in the community serving, but then we're there all the time. We partner with all kinds of organizations, between feeding homeless, providing food, care, furniture in people's houses. We really try to look at where's the need and how do we help meet the need to help people live the abundant life that Jesus called them to live, and ultimately get them to take steps closer to him. Because physical health is great, all of that, but at the end of the day, I think this all stems from this belief that 100 years from now, we're all going to be somewhere. Obviously, we're not going to be on earth, but we believe something exists beyond that. And so for us, we're trying to help people kind of take steps in a direction where one day, without getting too weird in my language, but they're going to be with their Father in heaven. So that might have gone like dark pretty quick, but for us, we're just trying to help people take closer steps to God.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, being that direction and helping people focus on, not just where they're at now, but where they're going is, it's instrumental in the impact that the church has in everyone's life, and whether it's, helping with the things you're helping. Because I was going to lead to my next question is, what does honest care really look like through the lens of that faith and stewardship perspective? So, I know you're talking about doing a lot for people in the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. What does honest care look like? I think probably, I don't know if this is the right definition, but I think in my mind it is done with purity. I think a pure heart as you are helping people,
Right.
versus caring for people to get something from it, caring for people to get anything out of it. It's interesting the way, even when Jesus went through and did ministry, he would do a miracle and kind of say, hey, don't tell anybody about this, and do a miracle and hey, don't tell anybody. So some of that is so much, it's based in humility and timing on his part. But I think for us going into the world, man, what we have to be careful of, and I think Christian leaders in general have to be careful of, is believing that they are the reason for, or the person to look to. When it's like, no, our role is to get out of the way and allow people to see God's goodness and grace. And so I think doing it with that pure heart, and keeping that pure heart throughout ministry or throughout our Christian lives is such an important thing to have in our life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the way you put that, because it's a lot of times you see there's a lot of conflicts throughout, just the ministry space sometimes. And sometimes it is that exact part right there is, as a focal point leading a ministry or leading a church or whatever the case may be, sometimes you become, or whoever it is becomes the focal
Yeah.
point for the community. And it's that constant reminder that, it's you're a steward, right? Not
hmm
necessarily you're going to guide and steward them in the right direction. And I love that you talked about, I believe you said integrity was the word, but honest care for us is essentially the same thing. It's from a healthcare perspective, right, which is where we primarily focus, but helping people even through our honest ministry, it's how can we help people in a way that is honest, not just ethical. So in like healthcare settings, a lot of times you'll hear everybody say we're ethical providers, we provide ethical services. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Providing ethical services sometimes may mean something as simple as we follow the law, right? But just sometimes, and I always use the example, providing, if someone needs somewhere to stay, and you say, hey, you can come stay with us. If someone's staying with you in your house, technically, I mean, it would be ethical for you to potentially charge them a rent for staying with you, because you are providing house, shelter, food, things like that, utilities. But from an honest perspective, most people wouldn't do that, right? So it really depends on it's kind of that balance between what is ethical and what's really the honest type of care. And I believe you hit it with integrity, because like ethically, you may be inclined to charge someone for rent, but I wouldn't do it in a million years.
hmm
But we're here to serve each other, and how can we serve each other in alignment with our faith, whether that's in our professions, whether that's in our personal life, or just simply within the community. And we need more honest care out there. Um, but with that said, where do you see the greatest need for that integrity and accountability in organizations today?
Oh, that's a great question. Because it's a great question, because I mean everywhere is the terrible answer.
Right.
I think one of the things, it's been interesting to watch the work culture in America over the last 50 years, because it used to be probably 30 years ago, you could be bad if you did good. So you could be a jerk if you were a hard worker and did a good job. But it's kind of changed now to where this healthy culture, healthy workplaces, nice boss, like not jerks, that's kind of come into play as they go through it. And I think one of the things I've discovered is that anytime a leader can embrace humility, can really, if you were to take the teachings of Jesus and of Paul and consider others better than yourselves, if you can look at every person and really go, hey, my job as a leader is not to exercise the rights I've been giving, but to walk in the responsibility that I have. And the responsibility I have to help every person that I'm leading to do better and to grow and to be better. And if I can really focus on that, that will help me to continue um, to serve them well, and they will all be better if we do that. And I think there are some organizations that we're seeing that are secular organizations, or not Christian organizations, where people are taking that stance of trying to serve the people they lead and be there for the people they lead, and not allow their leadership to essentially go to their head and bring pride in the mix as they go through it. And so, man, I feel like all of that when you look across any organization, I think every organization is better when people live that way.
Absolutely. We're seeing an intertwining of, in that workplace culture of how can we lead, how can we grow, but how can we do it? And it's more than just culture. It's culture within the company as much as it is like, a lot of work. People go to work, they spend more time with their colleagues and in their work environment than they do with their families, right? At times, and it's good to have that balance and really start sensing that community and that those relationships in the workspace that is looking at more than just the time on the clock or the services being provided, and it takes it kind of away from that performance gear to more of that holistic kind of well-rounded approach. So yeah, no, it's a great shift we're seeing throughout the world. And if you had a way to put it, how would you say that ministry and healthcare could work together to better serve people in crisis? We do that through Honest Advocacy, our advocacy platform, where we're helping people dealing with crisis or trauma throughout the country. But how would you say that ministry and healthcare work together?
Yeah, I think when you start looking through all the different areas where we're all essentially trying to help people continue to grow and get better, and so I think there's a leaning on each other when you're trying to navigate through that. Because I don't think every problem is solved through prayer. I think God has given doctors, and He's given therapists, and He's given, and so I think on our side, on the church faith side, is that there are moments of time where you got to look at somebody and go, hey, you need to go see a therapist, or you need to go see a doctor, like that. And I think the other side is true as well. I think there are moments where, hey, I think the thing you're going through is that there's a spiritual component to what you're going through. I think the thing that you feel like is missing in you, there's a deeper thing going on. And so I think that pass back and forth is important to go, hey, when we actually decide that we're going to consider that a person is more than just physical, and they're more than just spiritual, and they're more than just emotional, but we're going to treat the issue that they have and the issues that they have, and we're going to lean on experts to treat the issues, because there are different people who are better at dealing with different things. And so I think when we agree that we're not going to be so siloed, focused on the area that we treat and only treat that, and don't actually try to help them treat the other things. But I think being able to slow down enough to go, hey, I think you actually, man, going to see a counselor, I think would be really, you got some issues that you need to work through and deal with. Hey, you got some purpose issues. I think you're struggling with some like more spiritual thing. You need to go talk to a pastor or talk to somebody. And in the same way, hey, physically, like, I know you've been praying this for a while, but it doesn't seem like it's healing, and a doctor can help. And so I think that pass back and forth is important for all of us to help the person, not just solve the issue that has to do with the issue that we're designed to help them solve.
Absolutely. I wish how much I love that answer in general, because we talk about this all the time in our organization, is how we, like, for example, on our Honest Ministry site, we have prayer, like a prayer request button, right? We have a prayer request button I believe it's on our Honest Advocacy site too, but we always say, these are resources for when prayer, sometimes it isn't enough. Sometimes we can take our spiritual piece, right, which is a must, and add that in with the resources we have in our everyday communities or within the healthcare system, and collectively, end up going where we need to be going. So I love the answer you just gave. So with all that said, what message, if you could sort of leave one message with other folks who feel called to serve, but they don't really know where to start, what message would you leave with them?
I think for me, it's not very profound. It's take the next right step. I think I heard somebody say one time, and I like this quote, is listen to God and do what He says. And that can happen through reading the Word or doing different things. But I think it's take the next right step. I think for me, especially if someone ever feels this draw towards ministry and really towards anything, I think it's get into environments where there are people who are doing what you're doing ahead of you, that can coach you up, that can help you lead, that can help you go through it. And then I think Carol Dweck is her name, but she wrote a book called Mindsets. And she says, essentially you have two mindsets. You have a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And anytime you get into anything, you have to approach it with a growth mindset where you say, there's nothing that I do that doesn't need to get better. There's nothing I do that I'm not willing to change. There's nothing that I do that I can't grow in. And so anytime you get into anything, we all want to get into it and be Michael Jordan on day two. But we really have to decide that we're going to grow and we're going to be open and allow that feedback to come in and shape us and grow us and challenge us. And so get into environments where there are people who are doing what you want to do. Um, See if you can find some people that you have that chemistry with and mentor you, and then just be willing to grow, be willing to change and continue to do things different. And if you do that, I think that will help shape you and help guide you in the direction you need to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kind of coming to that point where you realize you may not have all the answers, right? And maybe that's
Yep.
in your profession, right? Maybe there's someone that can mentor you. Maybe that's in your faith. Maybe it's reading the word.
Yep.
And maybe there's different aspects that can help, again, like you said, just keep you open to growing and open to change and understanding there's always room for improvement. And the biggest piece you touched on that I feel super important, with it, we have all-time high rates, it seems, of, folks leaving the church or leaving ministries, and how can we bring them back into understanding that community is the one of the biggest pieces to, is to living the word of God, living the word of Jesus, right?
Yep.
Is how can we put ourselves around other people who are going to, no, it's part of it's accountability, but part of it's just being around like-minded people who can help you grow. And you're also serving by helping them grow, because you being around them, even if they're ahead of you, them being able to mentor you helps them grow. And then there's going to be people that you're ahead of that you can help grow. And that, again, it's a full circle effect. But I love everything you're saying over there, Mike. Sounds like you'll have a lot of great stuff going on at Grace Family Church over in Tampa. If people are in the area, whether they're visiting or maybe they live in the area, what would be the best way for them to connect with you, online or in person?
Well, if they go to gfcflorida.com, they can look at, we have like I said, 8 different locations across Tampa Bay. And so they can check those out. I'm on Instagram, Pastor Mike Ash. And then, I feel like it's so easy to find people nowadays that
Right.
even trying to say all the handles, everyone already knows. But yeah, and if there's
We'll
anything I
add them
can do
below.
to, yeah, that's right. Well, if there's anything I can do to help anybody, man, like I said, I love that, helping people take their next step and work some things out. So, yeah, just any of that. But if you're in Tampa, yeah, Grace is a great. On the weekend, we got a lot going on. We had groups during the week, so there's a place to plug in if you're in Tampa Bay.
Perfect. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, share a little bit about what y'all have going on over there, and just continuing to spread the word and create positive impact in the community.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dalton.